بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة، يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما كان المؤمنون لينفروا كافة فلولا نفر من كل فرقة طائفة منهم ولينذروا قومهم إذا رجعوا إليهم لعلهم يحذرون. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. We live in changing times. Things have changed from the past. The ways our parents lived and our grandparents lived, completely different circumstances, different times. Means of communication have changed. Means of transportation have changed. The way you can communicate with people around the globe. Today, the technology that we have is unbelievable for those in the past. Who would imagine that you can speak to someone across the globe in a completely different time zone with a device held in the palms of your hand? Means of transportation have also evolved and changed. You can go from continent to continent within a couple of hours. Things have changed. Hygiene, water everywhere, bathrooms everywhere, showers. Just decades ago, people did not have showers at homes. If they wanted to shower, they would have to go to public showers. Today, in every house, there's running water, clean water, there's showers. Now, having witnessed all of this change in technology, in communication, in transportation, everything has changed. Life has changed. But we notice that Islamic laws have not changed. Islamic laws have remained the same. 1,400 years ago, people would perform wudu and ghusl for salah. Today they perform wudu and ghusl for salah. 14 centuries ago, there were 5 daily prayers. Today we have the 5 daily prayers. Salatul Dhuhr was 4 units. Today it's still 4 units. People would go to Mecca for Hajj. Today people go to Mecca for Hajj. The laws have not changed and evolved. Travel has changed, but the laws of traveling haven't changed. Marriage has changed, but the laws of marriage haven't changed. Business transactions have changed. The business transactions that we have today, the businesses that we have today, are not the same form of businesses that existed 14 centuries ago. But we see that the laws have remained the same when it comes to commerce and business. Now here, there are two very important questions that are posed. Number one, how can laws that are fixed, that never change, keep up with a system that is always changing? A world that is ever changing, how could it be fixed with laws that never change? Laws that are fixed. This is number one. Number two, in our fiqh system, in the fiqh, the body of Islamic laws, is everything black and white, or do we have a gray area in fiqh? What do we mean by gray area? Or in Arabic, منطقة الفراغ. What do we mean by this? Did Sharia encompass all of life and all of the aspects of life? Or did Sharia leave some areas open-ended? Some areas are gray. Some areas are not discussed in Sharia. So for example, we know that many of the things that we do in our lives are either mandatory, wajib, like our daily prayers, or haram, forbidden, like to drink alcohol, or mustahab, recommended, like to pray Quran, or makruh, unrecommended, like to sleep by yourself in a room, or mubah, it's neutral, you may do, you may not do. Is everything that we do falls under these 5 laws and categories? Or is there an area that is kept for human innovation, or kept for mujtahids to decide? The Sharia did not decide. Is there an aspect of life that is gray and the Sharia does not have a position towards, or not? Tonight, my dear brothers and sisters, we will attempt to answer these questions. Wa sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. The popular opinion amongst our ulama is that we do not have a gray area in Sharia. Sharia has encompassed all of life. Anything that we do, from the moment that we wake up till the moment that we sleep, whether it's at home or at school or at business or on the road, or going for a walk, or going on a vacation, or going on ziyarah, any act that we perform falls under the 5 categories. It is either mandatory, or forbidden, or recommended, or discouraged, or it's mubah. You may do, you may not do. Every case that we do, every act that we do has a law, has an Islamic law pertaining to it. Islam has a say, from sleeping, to eating, to jogging, to walking, to writing, to reading, to sleeping, to marrying, to divorcing, to bearing children. Anything that we do, Islam has a take. Islam has a say. Islam has a position. It's either mandatory or forbidden or recommended or discouraged, or it's mubah. Those who believe that there is a gray area in life, in Sharia, there's an area where the Sharia did not encompass and discuss, that means that religion is incomplete. That means religion is incomplete. Imagine if you have a big hall, much like this, and you vacuum it, and you leave some parts unvacuumed. That means you left the job empty. You did not fulfill the task. You left parts empty. Did the Sharia encompass all of life, or it left some parts undiscussed? If you believe that some areas are undiscussed, that means religion is incomplete. While the Quran says, الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي. Today I have perfected your religion. That means everything that was needed to be said in religion was said. Any law that needed to be legislated was already legislated. Allah didn't leave anything for humans to decide, for human innovation. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided everything for us. Any act that we do, it's been decided. There's a jurisprudential law in Islam called مَا مِنْ وَاقَعَةٍ إِلَّا وَلَهَا حُكْمٌ. That everything that we do in life from morning till night has a law. What you do from morning till night is either wajib or haram or mustahab or makruh or mubah. It doesn't leave this realm. Anything that you perform. What's the proof for this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. That we have revealed the book to you to show you everything, to educate you on everything. تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. That means anything that we do, it's in the Quran or in the Sunnah of the Ahlul Bayt, of Rasulullah and the Ahlul Bayt. Anything that we do, it's been discussed in religion. There's no gray area. And an authentic hadith with a reliable chain of narrators, صحيحة حماد عن أبي عبد الله عليه السلام قال سمعته يقول ما من شيء إلا وفيه كتاب أو سنة. Everything that we do in life is discussed in the Quran and in the Sunnah. Either specifically or generally. Or generally. Specifically like eating and drinking. What types of meat may we eat? What types of animals may we sacrifice and eat? Or generally, like the business transactions that we have today, even social media, it's been addressed generally speaking. Generally, it's in the Quran. It's in the Quran. And another hadith, Imam Sadiq says, ما من أمر يختلف فيه اثنان إلا وله أصل في كتاب الله. There's not a thing that two people disagree on, you will find it in the Quran. You will surely find it in the Quran. ولكن لا تبلغه عقول الرجال. But sometimes you and I, when we read the Quran, we don't find it. Just because you and I don't find it in the Quran, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The ulama can find it. Whether it's on traveling, or buying and selling, or vacationing, or marrying. Anything that we do, our ulama can find the law, the appropriate law for it in the Quran or in the Sunnah. So this is the general view that in Sharia there is no gray area. Everything is black or white. Everything is either mandatory or forbidden or recommended or discouraged or mubah. We don't have a gray area in fiqh. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Having said that, Al-Shaheed Al-Sayyid Muhammad Baqir Al-Sadr, rahmatullahi alayh, has a theory on the gray area in Sharia. Al-Shaheed Sayyid Muhammad Baqir Al-Sadr, in his famous book, Iqtisaduna, Our Economics, whom he wrote in his 30s. He was in his 30s. He wrote this amazing book, which is a refutation to Marxist thought, Marxist and capitalist thought on economics. There he introduced his theory of mantaqat al-faragh, the gray area in Sharia. And he says that the gray area is left to the mujtahids to decide. They may decide what is the best law befitting of this case and that scenario. Basically, what Sayyid Muhammad Baqir Al-Sadr rahmatullah alayh introduced in this theory is that every mujtahid, and pay attention to this, a mujtahid has the ability to change a law in Islam. Yes, change a law. To change the mubahat, to change the laws that are recommended, discouraged, and mubah. Mustahab, makruh, mubah, he may change it. He may change something that is mustahab to wajib. He may change something that is forbidden, something that is makruh to forbidden. He has that ability. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given jurists that authority to change the laws of mubahat into wajibat, for example, or muharramat. It is left for him to decide. If he sees fit, if the mujtahid sees fit, something that is recommended, he could make it into wajib. Something that is makruh, he could make it into haram. If the mujtahid sees fit. This doesn't mean that there's a gray area, meaning the Sharia didn't discuss certain areas. No, the Sharia did. Anything that we do is either wajib, haram, mustahab, makruh. But the jurist has the authority to change mustahabbat and makruhat into wajibat and muharramat. But does this mean that he can do this arbitrarily? A mujtahid wakes up in the morning and decides on changing some laws? No, it's not that simple. It's not that he decides based on personal interests or based on his mood or based on a fight that he had or an argument that he had. No, mujtahids don't work that way. Maybe some speakers, they do. They say as a joke that one day a speaker was ready to come to a majlis and give a lecture. Right before leaving the house, he got in a fight with his wife. So in the car, he decided to change the topic and talk about women that night and the vices of women. So he came on the minbar and he began a lecture on women and the evil of women. And then he made a survey in the middle of the lecture. He said, brothers, who is satisfied with his wife? If you're not satisfied with your wife, please stand up. So the entire majlis stood up, except one gentleman all the way in the back. He said, Alhamdulillah, there's one person that's satisfied with his wife. He said, no, Mawlana, my wife broke my feet. I can't stand. Are mujtahids this way as well? They decide based on a fight or his relationship with his wife? No. A mujtahid has the ability to change a law from istihbab to wajib, from makruh to haram, but not arbitrarily, not based on personal whims and interests or his mood swing or what he's feeling. No, there has to be a binding necessity. There has to be a great danger or a great opportunity or a great good, maslahah or mafsada. Based on that, he makes the assessment and then he changes the law. I will give you a couple of examples. I'll give you an examples. It'll be very clear how a mujtahid has the ability to change a law from mustahab to wajib, from makruh to haram. Now this law that is changed by the mujtahid is temporary. It's not permanent. It's not for all times. So it only applies to his muqallideen for a certain amount of time. A couple of years, sometimes a couple of months, sometimes a couple of weeks, and that's it. It's a temporary law. It's not a permanent law. And we will elaborate later on. Now, Sayyid al-Shahid al-Sadr rahmatullah alayh is accused of saying that there's a gray area in fiqh, that the Sharia left an area undiscussed and left it for human innovation. No, that's not true. Shaykh al-Sadr didn't say this. He says that Sharia did discuss all aspects of life, but there are some laws that the jurist, mujtahid, has the ability to change. Has the ability to change. Let me give you a couple of examples. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Mirza Muhammad Hassan al-Shirazi, who was in Samarra, and we talked about him 2 nights ago, if the brothers and sisters remember. Mirza Hassan al-Shirazi was known for issuing a fatwa on tobacco. He made a tobacco ban. Why? Because there was a monopoly on tobacco by the Brits, by the English. They dominated the scene. They dominated the economy. And they put their hands on the tobacco, and there was a monopoly. You know, when you control the market, that's a lot of power. You control the market. And tobacco was very popular. Everyone smoked, whether it was cigarettes, cigars or hookahs. They were very popular. And because the Brits had a monopoly over tobacco, Sayyid Hassan al-Shirazi, Mirza Hassan al-Shirazi, issued a fatwa banning the sale of tobacco and banning the usage of tobacco. He made it haram. Although smoking, according to most scholars, is what? Mubah. It's permissible. It's not wajib. It's not mustahab. It's not haram. It's not makruh. It's permissible. He made an act that is permissible into what? Haram. Because there was a greater good for the ummah, for the nation. They say that this ban, this fatwa was so powerful that Mirza Hassan al-Shirazi was sitting in Samarra, Iraq. Nadir Shah was in Tehran, in Iran. He wanted to smoke a hookah, he wanted tobacco. They told him there's no tobacco. There's no tobacco in the market. No one is selling. Imagine a fatwa by a scholar had an impact on the king himself. And that fatwa ended the monopoly on tobacco. You see, where something is allowed, but the marji' says it becomes haram because he sees fit. Because he sees that this is a political movement, this is a political moment that he needs to see for the greater good of the ummah. By the way, my dear friends, in recent times, in the past century and a half, there have been 3 major fatwas by our ulama. These fatwas changed the course of history. The first fatwa was this, that the fatwa on tobacco sale by Mirza Hassan al-Shirazi. This was a fatwa that changed the course of history. This is one. 2, a fatwa of jihad by Mirza Muhammad Taqi Shirazi, who lived in the holy city of Karbala, my hometown. In 1920, he issued a fatwa to fight the English. The UK, the English Empire had occupied Iraq. And Iraq was in the hands of whom? The Ottomans. Mirza Muhammad Taqi Shirazi gave a fatwa to support the Ottoman Sunni government to defeat the British. And indeed, the tribes of Iraq were able to defeat and kick out the English from their lands, from their homes. And this is an example of Shia ulama defending the lands of Muslims, even if the ruler is whom? Sunni. This is an example of Sunni Shi'i unity. This was a second very important fatwa that changed the course of history. And of course, in 2014, the fatwa of Ayatollah Sayyid al-Sistani, may Allah prolong his life, who issued a fatwa of jihad against ISIS. And this fatwa helped eradicate ISIS within a year. Within a year or 2 years, ISIS were eradicated in Iraq thanks to the brave fatwa of Ayatollah Sistani in 2014. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Another example of a mujtahid having the authority to change something into wajib or haram. Voting. Voting. It's election time and people may vote, they may not vote. Some people are interested in voting, some people are not interested in voting. If the mujtahid sees fit, he can issue a fatwa making it wajib upon people to vote. He makes it wajib. And we've seen that in the past, where a mujtahid makes it almost binding, almost wajib, for people to go out and vote and participate in elections. Why? For the preservation of democracy. Majority rule. If he sees fit for the greater good of the ummah, he'll issue a fatwa. Although voting is mubah. The choice is yours. Do you want to vote? Do you not want to vote? But if a marji' sees fit, he can make it into wajib. And when I say wajib, that means if you don't go out and vote, you're committing a sin. You'll be held accountable on the Day of Judgment for not following the directions of your marji'. Or sometimes a marja' can forbid voting. If he believes that elections are a fraud, they're not authentic, it's being tampered with, he can make elections haram if he sees fit. He could make it wajib if he sees fit. He could make it haram if he sees fit. This is part of mantaqat al-faragh, that gray area where the mujtahid has the authority to make a decision to change a fatwa. Another example. Monopoly. Monopoly is haram. Monopoly over anything. We have a hadith that forbid the monopoly over certain food items like rice, sugar, salt, oil, these things. Some ulama come and say, no, these are the essentials. All monopoly is haram. Imagine a company comes and has monopoly over sugar. Why is monopoly haram? Because they control the market. They decide how much sugar is sold for. They could sell a kilogram of, for example, sugar for $10, or they can sell it for $1,000. If you control the market, you control the prices. Or salt, for example. So monopoly in Islam is haram, my dear friends. Here, a mujtahid can force certain individuals to sell. If you're hoarding sugar or salt or anything else, a mujtahid could force you to sell. He could make it wajib upon you to sell. Although selling is mubah. The choice is yours. As a business owner, the choice is yours whether you'd like to sell or not sell. But if a mujtahid sees fit for the greater good of the ummah, he could force you to sell. Because it's for the greater good. I'll give you another example. Owning a weapon. You may own a weapon. The choice is yours. Especially if the government that you live in allows you to own a weapon, you can own a weapon. And by the way, some of our ulama, specifically As-Sayyid Sistani, his fatwa is that you have to obey the law of the land. It is wajib to obey the law of the land. And if you break the law of the land, you are committing a sin. There are some people that cause fraud. For example, welfare. The system gives you welfare. Some people go and claim disability. There's no disability. They go and claim disability. Or mental disability, physical disability. This is haram. Breaking the law of the land is haram. According to most of our ulama, specifically Sayyid Sistani, tax evasion is haram. Any sort of fraud is haram. I remember a couple of years ago, I went to Australia. They told me a funny story where Allah, and it's shameful to say that Allah from the Muslim community. So they pretend to get divorced, husband and wife. They pretend to get a divorce. Now that they're divorced, they both deserve housing. The wife has a house, the husband has a house. Some authorities, they asked a Muslim scholar, they told him, you guys, Muslims, when you divorce, are you still allowed to be together? He said, no. He said, but most of you, when they divorce, we still see them together. They still live in the same house. What's going on? It's fraud. Fraud is not allowed, my dear friends. We must obey the law of the land. Anything that violates the law of the land is haram according to Sayyid Sistani. Owning a weapon, if it's legal in your country, then it's legal in your faith as well. It's halal to own a weapon. Using a weapon is a different story, like we mentioned in the first lecture. Owning a weapon is allowed. But here, a mujtahid can force you to sell your weapon. Yes, he can say it is wajib upon you to give your weapon or sell your weapon to the government. Why? If everyone owns weapons, it might create chaos. Imagine fights break out between people, between two neighbors or a neighborhood. Everyone owns a weapon. Well, that becomes a law of the jungle. It becomes the animal kingdom. Here, Mujtahid says that civilians may not own weapons. Go and give your weapons to the government. Go and sell your weapons to the government. This is on one side. On another side, maybe he could make it haram upon you to sell your weapons. Like we saw in Iraq. In Iraq, approximately 10 years ago, there were suspicious groups who came to the southern areas of Iraq, which is mostly Shia, and they started buying their weapons. Who are these groups? Who are these political groups? It wasn't very clear. Some ulama issued a fatwa forbidding the sale of your weapon. Why? Because it could be dangerous. A group comes and buys all of the weapons from the southern area of Iraq. They're left without weapons. God knows what will happen. God knows what will happen. And there was a mujtahid, Ayatollah Sayyid Kazim al-Ha'iri. He issued a fatwa banning the sale of weapons. You may not sell your weapon, although it's mubah. The choice is yours, whether you'd like to or not. But a mujtahid has the ability to change a law according to what he sees fit, according to the greater good. Now, how does a mujtahid change a law? How does that work? What does he base it on? We said a couple of minutes ago that it's not based on personal whims or desires. It's not based on his personal mood. He wakes up in the morning and he decides to change a fatwa. Is that how it works? No. A mujtahid has to be familiar with the general themes of Sharia, with the general guidelines of the Quran. Maqasid al-Quran, maqasid al-Sharia, ruh al-Quran. For example, what are some of the general themes of the Sharia? Establishing justice. When a mujtahid changes a fatwa to another fatwa, he has to take in consideration establishing justice. Establishing order. That which brings order to society, he has to take that into consideration. Protection of human life. This is part of the Sharia, the aspirations of Sharia, maqasid al-Sharia, to protect human life. Protect people's wealth and money. This is part of maqasid al-Sharia, the aspirations of Sharia. Protecting the ummah, the greater interests of the ummah. This is part of maqasid al-Sharia. So when a mujtahid changes a fatwa to another fatwa, he has to take things into consideration. He has to have a good understanding of the general themes of the Quran and the Sharia. Let me give you an example. وَصَلَّى عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِ مُحَمَّدٍ. Imagine a painting, a beautiful painting by an artist. Have you seen The Last Supper? A beautiful painting. Amazing. The Last Supper. I've seen it at the Louvre in France. Huge. Huge. You know, in fact, at the Louvre there's two paintings. And people forget the Last Supper. They all go to see one painting. And that's what? The Mona Lisa. Everyone's at the Mona Lisa. The Louvre is full of amazing paintings no one pays attention to. They all go to see the Mona Lisa. The Last Supper is a beautiful painting of Isa alayhi salam with his followers and disciples sitting on a dinner table having their Last Supper. Imagine a beautiful painting, but the artist forgot an area, like a corner, a square in the middle of the painting or in the corner of the painting. He forgot. And he told you, I want you to finish it. Here's the brushes. Here's the paint. Here's my beautiful painting. I want you to finish it. Now, if you're going to finish a painting like this, like the Last Supper, or the Mona Lisa, or, for example, the painting where Napoleon, and this is in the Palace of Versailles in France, it's a beautiful painting of Napoleon who brings the Pope from Rome to France to give him the crown. Instead, he grabs the crown, then he puts it on his head. There's a beautiful painting depicting this picture. There's a part that's left unfinished. You have to finish it. What are you going to draw? Are you going to draw a person who's working on a laptop? Or a cell phone? Or a waterfall? No. You're going to fill in the blank according to what's in the painting. If there's a table, you'll finish the table. If there's a man dressed old-fashionedly, you'll finish. You see, you have to look at the overall picture of the painting and you draw the rest according to the theme of the picture. The painting might be about waterfalls, mountains, rivers, wildlife, and there's a part missing. You draw a table with food or individuals. No, you finish the painting with the waterfalls, with the rivers, with the wildlife, according to the general theme of the painting. Correct? This is exactly what the mujtahid does. The mujtahid has to look at the overall picture, the overall scene, and then fills in the gaps, changes a fatwa according to the overall scene of the sharia. You see? That's the job of a mujtahid. He fills in the gap according to his understanding. To his understanding. My dear friends, this theory by Al-Shaheed Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr is to show that Sharia is applicable at all times and all places. You might say that we live in changing times. This is what we began the lecture with. That we live in changing times. Things are changing, especially technology. What we have today, we didn't have last year. And what we had last year, we didn't have 5 years ago. Life is changing. How can a life that is ever changing, with technology that is ever changing, be solved with laws that are fixed? The laws of Islam are fixed. The answer is this, that we have mantaqat al-faragh, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the authority to a jurist to change some laws according to what he sees fit. If he sees that it's fit to change this law from mubah to wajib, he may do so. If he sees fit to change this law from makruh to haram, he may do so. You see, Islam is accommodating, my dear friends. Some laws may be changed in Islam. Islam gives leeway to the mujtahid to exert his authority when he needs to, when he sees fit. Sharia cannot give fixed laws to changing times. That doesn't make sense. It's logical to give fixed laws to fixed events, but not events that are changing. We human beings, we need fixed laws. For example, wudu, ghusl, salah, laws pertaining to murder, adultery, theft, robbery. These things happen in all places at all times. We need fixed laws. And at the same time, we need laws for changing events, things that change. For example, the laws of the economy. The economy changes, so it needs laws that change and evolve with the economy. The laws of medicine, the laws of driving. These laws have to change. And hence, my dear brothers and sisters, Sharia is made up of fixed laws and temporary laws. Fixed laws that are part of the Sharia and the changing laws that are not part of the Sharia. They're temporary measures. Let me give you an example. During COVID, 2020, who can forget 2020? In 2020, the year of COVID, everyone had to wear masks. There was social distancing. Some wore gloves. We had to wash our hands every 20 minutes. We sprayed alcohol on our disinfectants on our hands. Were these fixed laws or temporary laws? These were temporary laws. They were not fixed laws. They are not federal laws. Federal laws, we have federal laws on paying tax, property tax, income tax, laws on money laundering. These are federal laws. These are fixed forever. These are fixed forever. And there are temporary laws. There are temporary laws. And hence, my dear friends, this is how Islam is accommodating. It makes Islamic laws relevant for all times and all places through the theory of mantaqat al-faragh, the gray area in Sharia. Wa sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Can I ask the brothers, I will recite the blessed name of our 12th Imam. I ask you to please stand and pull forward. Rahimallah man dhakara al-qa'ima min ali Muhammad. Please stand and come forward. And the sisters as well. Pull forward as much as you can. Please, come forward. Come forward. come forward. Please come forward as much as possible. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. In Islam, my dear brothers and sisters, in the process of ijtihad, time and place also plays a role. And this is one of the ways that Islam is accommodating of the changing times and circumstances. Let me give you an example. In Islam, a husband is required to spend on his wife. A wife, no matter how rich she is, no matter how many salaries she has, she might be making $150,000 a year. No, $150,000 a month. She does not need to spend on herself. Her husband has to spend on her. The husband in Islam is required to spend on his wife. How much? It varies from place to place and time to time. Previously, 14 centuries ago, maybe it was enough to spend $30 monthly on your wife. Today, in some parts of the world, maybe $100 is enough. $300 is enough. Here in Canada, maybe $3,000 is not enough. But these are all different places and different times. But the general law, some brothers are saying more than $3,000. More than $3,000. Islam is accommodating. Islam says, look at the time and place. A husband has to spend on his wife. But how much? We'll leave that to urf. The people to decide. The urf to decide. If one place a husband can spend on the needs of his wife $100, that's enough. But if in a different place it's $5,000, he has to spend $5,000. Ijtihad takes this into consideration. Islam takes these things into consideration. Imagine if Islam says, no, a husband, all he needs to do is spend $50 on his wife, that's it. Islam would have been outdated. People would have abandoned Islam. How could this be possible? Just $50 to spend on your wife? Even in Canada, even in Toronto, even in Vancouver. These are the most expensive cities in the world. It's impossible. Another way that Islam has remained relevant, my dear friends, is secondary laws. In Islam, we have primary laws and we have secondary laws. What do we mean by this? Can a woman, a non-mahram, expose herself in front of a man? No, this is haram. She cannot expose herself in front of a man. But if there's a medical need, if there's no female doctor, and there's only a male doctor, and there's a need, her life depends on it, or she's in great harm, she's in great pain, and she has to expose, for example, her hand, her leg, her neck to a male doctor, she may do so. Islam here says it's halal. Why? Because there's a need. It's an emergency. It's a necessity. You see, my dear friends, Islam is accommodating of changing circumstances from time and place. Circumstances change, but Islam also is adaptable. Islam is lenient. Islam doesn't have laws that are set in stone and says they will never change until the day of judgment. No. If that was the case, then Islam would have been outdated like Christianity and Judaism. Today, Christians, ask them about Christian law, they're clueless. Are there laws in Christianity? Christians are clueless. If Christians want to be very religious, they'll go to church on Sunday morning, and that's it. The only thing they know about Christianity is going to church on Sunday morning, if they go, and many don't, and that Jesus loves you. Jesus loves everyone. Why? Because Christianity was not able to remain relevant. Christianity became outdated. Christian scholars were not able to keep Christianity relevant. Christianity became outdated. Even the most observing of Christians, they go for Mass, maybe on Christmas Eve, Sunday morning, and that's it. And the only thing they know of Christianity is that Jesus loves you. Is this how it is in Islam? No, Islam is still relevant today. Thanks to ijtihad and thanks to our ulama, they've kept Islam relevant. After 14 centuries, we are abiding Muslims. Islam for us is not just attending in Muharram or coming to the Husseiniya. Islam for us starts from the minute that you wake up in the morning and you go to work and you put on your hijab and you pray and you fast, and the way you deal with people, and you don't take interest and you don't take user until the moment that you sleep. Islam is relevant. Because of ijtihad, Islam remained relevant, my dear friends. This is how religion was protected. Our ulama were able to protect religion, to preserve it, to keep it relevant and preserved. Otherwise, Islam would have been outdated. The protection of religion, my dear friends. There's nothing more important than the protection of our faith. Safeguarding our faith and safeguarding our religion. To the point that if it requires the sacrifice of one's life to protect faith and religion, then one must have to sacrifice his life. And hence, on the day of Ashura, when Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas entered the battlefield and he lost his right hand, what did he say? Wallahi, in qata'tumu yamini, inni uhami abadan an dini. By God, if you cut my right hand, I will continue to protect my faith. Uhami abadan an dini. I will protect, I will safeguard my religion. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas knew exactly what Ashura was all about. Ashura was not a feud between Bani Umayyah and Bani Hashim. Karbala was not a fight over power or khilafah. Imam Hussein was not in need of khilafah and power. Power and khilafah were in need of Imam Hussein. The battle of Ashura was over religion. Religion would have perished. Abu Sufyan wanted to destroy religion. In the battle of Uhud, he would say, U'lu Hubal, U'lu Hubal. This is the grandfather. In the battle of Uhud, he would say, raise the name of our idols. As for Muawiyah hears the name of Rasulullah in the adhan, he says, La wallah, dafnan dafna. I will bury the name of Muhammad. And as for Yazid, when he sees the head of Imam Hussein, he says, لعبت هاشم بالملك فلا وحي جاء فلا خبر جاء ولا وحي نزل. Yazid sees this as a power struggle. He was fighting for power. He says, there was no revelation. There's no revelation. For him, this is a joke. Abu al-Fadl Abbas fought for faith, for religion, out of protection of religion. On the night of Ashura, Shimr ibn Dhil Jawshan comes from the other camp towards the camp of Imam Hussein, and he says, Ayna banu ukhtina? Where are my nephews? Ayna al-Abbas wa ikhwatih? Where is Abbas and his brother? Was Shimr the uncle of al-Abbas? No, but he was related. He was from the same clan and tribe of al-Banin, the mother of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. So he said, Ayna banu ukhtina? Where are my nephews? Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas did not reply. He kept on shouting, Shimr, asking for al-Abbas to come out to him. Imam Hussein alayhi salam looked at his brother Abu al-Fadl. He said, Akhi, ajibhu walau kana kafiran. Answer him, even if he's a kafir. Imam Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas came out and he said, what do you want, Ya Shimr? What do you want from me and my brothers? He said, Laka amanun, laka wa li ikhwatika amanun min ibn Ziyad. I brought peace and safety and security for you and your brothers. If you abandon the battle and leave tonight, then I will give you a safe passage, you and your brothers, because you are my nephews. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas looked at Shimr and he said, La'anak Allah wa la'ana amanak. May God curse you and curse your safe passage. Atu'amminuna wa ibnu binti Rasulillah la amana lah. You give us safety and the grandson of Rasulullah has no safety. He came back. This was Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. When Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas got on his horse, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was not given permission to fight. All the other companions were given permission to fight. أَتَأْذَنُ لِي يَا ابْنَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. Except Abu al-Fadl. Abu al-Fadl was not given permission to fight. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was given permission to bring water to the children. Water to the children. And when he got on his horse, Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, Irkab binafsi anta ya akhi. My brother, may I be a sacrifice for you. May I die for you. Imam Hussein alayhi salam is telling his brother, may I die for you. Abu al-Fadl, Abu al-Fadl. You know, Abu al-Fadl Abbas, the two hands that he lost in Karbala, these hands were kissed by several imams, infallible imams. They were kissed by Amir al-Mu'mineen the day that he was born. And they were kissed by Imam Zain al-Abidin, his nephew. And they were kissed by his brother Imam Hussein when he went to him next to the river. And he saw the two hands cut on the floor. He grabbed them and he kissed them. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas goes into the river to bring some water for the children. He kept on hearing the children shout, Al-Atash, Al-Atash, Qad qatalana. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas enters the river. He sees how cold the water is. He grabs a handful to drink. He hears the children shouting, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. He drops the water, Rama al-Ma'a ala al-Ma', and he says, Ya nafsu min ba'd al-Hussein huni, wa ba'dahu la kunti an takuni, wa tashrabina barid al-ma'ini. تالله ما هذا فعال ديني ولا فعال صادق اليقين. That by God, I will drink water before my brother Hussein. This is not something I will do, and this is not something that my religion has taught me to do. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas fills the water jug with water. He puts it in his neck. He gets on his horse. He turns back, about to come back to the camp, but he's surrounded from every corner with spears, with arrows, and with swords. A wicked soldier hits him on his right hand, cutting it off. Al-Abbas recites, Wallahi in qata'tumu yamini, inni uhami abadan an dini, وعن إمام صادق اليقين نجل النبي الطاهر الأمين. Al-Abbas alayhi salam grabs his sword with his left hand. He fights bravely until someone else cuts off his left hand. Al-Abbas is left without hands. He holds the water jug with his teeth. Another arrow comes and pierces through the eye of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Wa Abbasa. Another arrow lands in the chest of Al-Abbas. As Abbas was about to come back, Al-Abbas is hit with a pole on his head. Abbas falls to the ground. When someone falls to the ground, they have hands to break their fall so that the fall doesn't break them. But Abbas did not have hands. He fell face first to the ground, and the arrow breaks in his eye. Here he shouts, Akhi Aba Abdullah, Adrik Akhak. My brother Hussein, come to your rescue. For the first time, Al-Abbas does not call his brother Yabna Rasulullah. He says, Akhi. Imam Hussein comes speeding. He sees the flag on the ground, the two hands on the ground. He kisses them, and he sees Al-Abbas on the ground, an arrow in his eye. He says, Akhi Abbas, الآن انكسر ظهري وقلت حيلتي وشمت بي عدوي. Oh Abbas, now my back is broken. Now my enemy rejoices. What will I do after you, O Abbas? Imam Hussein moments later heads back to the tent. His daughter Sukaina comes. Akhi Aba Abdullah, is there news of my uncle Abbas? Has he brought any water? Zainab comes out. Akhi Aba Abdullah, where's our brother Abbas? Imam Hussein could not speak. They saw him holding his back. His back was hurting him. He enters the tent of Al-Abbas. He grabs the pole and he drops it to the floor, meaning that the owner of this tent is not coming back tonight. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العلي الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا عيبا إلا سترته ولا خوفا إلا آمنته ولا رزقا إلا بسطته ولا مرضا إلا شفيته. There are several that have asked us for dua. They have cancer, they're ill, They look for these beautiful nights, these blessed nights. They're looking for your dua, and this is the night of Abil Fadl Abbas. Pray for them. Pray for the speedy recovery of all the ill, all the sick. ولا مرضا إلا شفيته ولا غائبا إلا حفظته وأدنيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا أرحم الراحمين. My dear brothers and sisters, tonight is the night of Abil Fadl Abbas, Salamullahi alayhi. My dear brothers and sisters, this place is your home. This place is a Husseiniya. It's the home of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. This is where your youth come. This is where your children come. This is where you learn about faith and Islam. This is where the remembrance of Ahlul Bayt is kept alive. Donate generously to the Islamic Center. Don't hold back. This is a night of generosity. If you learn anything from Abil Fadl Abbas, is his selflessness. Abil Fadl Abbas gave his soul. He gave his life for Islam. You may give as much as you can. If Abil Fadl Abbas gave his life, you may give some of your money. That which you can. That which you are capable of. Whatever you're capable of. Anything that you can. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your intentions. He knows every one of us. What is our capability and what is my intentions. And I speak for all men, women, children, youth. Donate today in the name of Abil Fadl al-Abbas. In the name of Abil Fadl al-Abbas. This will be recorded for you. You're in the majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Any dollar, a single dollar that you spent tonight, it's being recorded. You're in the majlis of Imam Hussein. Abil Fadl al-Abbas is recording. Every dollar that you give. Be generous tonight, brothers and sisters. This community center, you have a wonderful community. This big community, mashallah. And you are known for your hospitality. You are known for your generosity. The people of Afghanistan are known for their generosity and hospitality. This is your place. Hold it. Keep it alive. The people of Afghanistan have endured so much. Every single one of you, every family has a story of how they ended up coming to this land. Here in Canada or the US, you fled from the troubles of back home, from the Taliban, from the dangers, from terrorism, and you ended up here. But alhamdulillah, the Afghani community, all the communities that I visited in America, in Canada, in the Netherlands, in Europe, in Australia, in New Zealand, the people of Afghanistan have taken the name of Imam Hussein everywhere. They've taken the name of Imam Hussein wherever they went, and they opened the Husseiniya for the name of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We are proud of you. This is something to be proud of, that you've spread the name of Imam Hussein. Your enemies tried to destroy you. The Taliban tried to destroy you and your school of thought. Look how it backfired against them. Just like the sorcerers of Fir'aun. Fir'aun brought the sorcerers to destroy Musa, yet they stood with Musa. And they believed in Musa. Your enemies, the Taliban and others, they wanted to destroy you and your religion and your school of thought. Yet look, wherever Afghanis went, people of Afghanistan, wherever the Afghans went, they raised the banner of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Keep this tradition alive. Teach this to your children and grandchildren. Set examples today, my dear brothers and sisters. What you do tonight will be remembered by your children. Give as much as you can. Your children, they will remember this, that I have to help. I have to support my Husseiniya because I saw my father do it. I saw my mother do it. I saw my cousin do it. I will continue to support my Husseiniya. This is your place. You're keeping the message of Imam Hussein alive. Our youth are in danger, my dear friends. You know better than me that the children are in danger in this society. They're out after to destroy our children, to destroy the family unit. Public schools are a danger. They're a danger. How do we keep our families safe and religious and spiritual? It's at the Husseiniya. Support this place. It's an investment for yourself, for your children. And you're raising the banner of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We learn generosity from the Afghan community. We learn hospitality from the Afghan community. You teach the rest of the world about generosity and hospitality. I don't need to give any lessons, only a reminder. Only a reminder to keep this Husseiniya alive. And you're building a new place, inshallah. You're building a new place, a bigger place, a brand new facility. Something in the name of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Support. Every person is responsible. Every person does according to that which they can. If you can donate $5,000, do not donate anything less. You can donate 1,000. You can't donate 1,000, donate 500. Allah knows how much you can do. If people don't know, but Allah knows, give that which you're able to, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.